If we look at today's technology, video technology has improved dramatically, high definition, etc.
But the quality of the sound hasn't kept pace with it, so we need a much richer sound to go with the richer picture.
Visual quality's gone a long way, and sound quality's gone just as far in the making of sound quality, but not in the reproduction of it in the home.
Perception and the depth and the quality of the sound experience that you're having transforms your sense of the quality of the picture and of the quality of the experience as a whole.
Experts say that the market for sound is going to explode, especially in products like TVs and consumer devices.
Sontia has a software digital sound processing solution that makes speakers sound better.
Sontia is a novel way of presenting sound to the end user using the latest psychoacoustic insights that we have.
Fooling the head, your brain, into thinking that it's hearing something that in fact it isn't, that gives a very, very natural sound. And it's really that natural sound that has got a lot of people in the audio industry excited.
Solving the psychoacoustic problem is really the last problem to be solved. Because once you give people a true 3D sound experience that is close to what they experience in the real world, that's it. You know, we don't have anything that's more real in the real world. Well, it's helpful to have people like Robin Saxby around the table who've sat on lots of boards, who've built companies from very small teams to very large companies.
Newly emerging technology usually comes from a new player. If I take my own experience with ARM, when we had only 12 engineers and myself, and we said we're going to be the global standard.
There have been many examples in the past, ARM being one of them, where a very small team with a revolutionary architecture can beat a very big team like Intel at its own games. As you know, there are 10 times as many ARMs being sold in the world than Intel chips. And so it is with Sontia. It's a truly revolutionary approach to use the insights of psychoacoustics to produce a sound experience inexpensively that other people cannot produce because they have a different architecture.
For Sontia to be successful, it needs to create a standard, a bit like Dolby or somebody else. But quite honestly, if they can get their technology out and it works better than Dolby, and I think it does on what I've heard, then they have a chance of doing that.
Here we've got an equally important breakthrough that might allow us to build a company that might become as large as Dolby.
I think the reality is the consumer will grab something new when it sees the benefit. What Sontia have to do is get this technology out to people, let them realize how good it is, and then they won't be able to live without it. Sound is a bit of a subjective feeling. It's not pure science. Everybody's ear is different, everybody's loudspeaker is different, every room is different. All of these things affect the way you hear sound. I think what Sontia have done is understood how all this works and come up with some algorithms which they've patented which basically make this stuff work.
A lot of the other systems that I've heard are small, sound phasey and unnatural.
Sontia not only makes things sort of sound more lush and more depth, but there's a feeling of being immersed within the sound rather than it coming from a particular place.
And I was very impressed because it had a naturalness and a fidelity to the original that I'd not heard before in sound processing.
And it doesn't really matter the quality of the speakers. When I've seen the Sontia demonstrations, from tinny cheap $8 speakers through to beautiful, you know, multi-thousand-pound speakers, Sontia still makes that difference.
From the things that are effectively in front of you but are definitely sounding like they're behind you, I think was very striking.
It gives you an immersive feeling like you're part of the action.
Chris's work is really the most warm and natural sounding really that I've come across. That doesn't sound processed, even though it is processed, which is very smart.
You know, these days people listen to music and in fact film and other entertainment content throughout the house in all sorts of different ways. And what Sontia allows is a much truer, much more enjoyable experience, whether it's music of higher quality or whether it's the fantastic ability to hear, say, films or television shows in a way that's completely different than you're used to on even a snazzy television, because the televisions are great, but the sound that comes out of most TVs is frankly lousy.
I'm really hoping that the Sontier stuff improves the sound and the richness of the sound for as many people as possible, whether it's everything from your iPhone to your home cinema system to your laptop. If you're only hearing half the sound, you're only getting half the story, really.
What I think is good about the Sontier technology, it isn't a case of one size fits all.
You need to tailor the sound to the particular loudspeakers that you're working with.
So whether that's a flat screen or a soundbar or making your laptop sound great.
The technology is fundamentally software. So basically you analyse the environment. Sontier engineers will get together with the partners engineers. We'll actually do some real modelling of how the system actually works.
Because it is the tailored sound that will give you the individual impression of a much better sound quality. But the only way this works is in conjunction with the properties of the loudspeakers that you have to work with.
The results speak for themselves. Everything that I've heard that they've done that's been tailored works beautifully.
The management team are impressive, and Chris's knowledge of the sector is fabulous.
The two most important things that I always look out for in new investments. One is a revolutionary technical architecture, a new way of doing it. And two, of course, is outstanding people, real stars that can make it happen. And Chris Vernon, I think, is such a star in the audio business.
I get invited to invest in lots of things. Very simply, I like the technology, I like the demo, I like the people. Businesses are actually about people. I believe the story and what it could do, and I thought, yeah, I'll get involved.
But most interestingly, it just fills a gap. You know, there's no other way that I've seen to get that kind of quality sound out of everything from tinny little iPod speakers through to serious speakers. And I think it's fabulous for manufacturers because it gives the manufacturers using Sontier a chance to differentiate themselves, because Sontier sound is a whole lot better than non-Sontier sound.
Well, the early response of the manufacturers has been very encouraging, because of course the trick always is to produce the most bang for the buck and to produce a sound experience with inexpensive loudspeakers that is impressive, and the Sontier technology allows you to do that.
Sontier is undoubtedly the best technology of its type, or certainly the best that any of us as investors have seen. It's now about getting it to the tipping point where enough manufacturers adopt it and allow consumers therefore to experience it and want to buy it.
We have a number of patents, but in a way the most important protection is the know-how of the people in Sontier and the intimate understanding and knowledge of the new architecture that Sontier is promoting.
Patent protection is a defensive measure. In reality, you win by being the best and by continuing to be the best, so that by the time your competitors have caught up with you, you've moved on to the next space. This means that you've got to deliver today at the highest quality, you've got to be the world's best, and you've got to continue to develop your roadmap to be even better tomorrow.